Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 4 of the podcast where we talk all things film and television in real time. My name is Ryan, and I work in the film industry.
And I'm Noah, and I work in the sports industry. Today we're talking about Stranger Things, the new Jimmy Olson show announcement, the Michael trailer, and we have special guest Chris Forster on in the second half, Ryan.
Yeah, I am so excited to talk to Chris. I worked with Chris on the movie Madden this past summer, and he has worked on some of the coolest projects, everything from Weapons to Stranger Things, and we're really excited to pick his brain. I don't know if I mentioned this. He's a graphic designer for film and television. So anyone who's interested in getting into that world can definitely learn a lot from this conversation. So, yeah.
And again, that is in the second half. So if you just want to watch the interview with Chris, you could obviously fast forward to that. We're about to get into what we watched this week. Before, just like every episode, we want to say thank you to the fans. We appreciate all the comments. We appreciate however funny some comments may be.
He's just referring to someone calling him sexy in the comments. He has been living this high. Someone said Noah is sexy in the comments, and Noah's been living this high since then. So,
and it got me pumped up. I even dressed up for this. That's how pumped up I was by the comment. No, we appreciate the fans. We appreciate everything. So yeah, Ryan and I will always be very appreciative to everyone who tunes in.
Hey Noah, so this past weekend, I went to Miami, as you know.
Yep.
And I want to bring this up really quickly because it was so rewarding, because I went to a big architecture reunion. If anyone doesn't know, I studied architecture and film in college, with architecture being the major, film being the minor. And all these people are now out doing architect stuff. And we're all so aware of the fact that I am designing sets for movies. And they were all coming up to me saying how they remember me talking in school about how I was going to use the architecture degree to work on movies and TV shows. And to them, it kind of sounded like some sort of a dream, but now I'm 2 years removed. And just, it was such a full circle rewarding moment to be back at my alma mater and get compliments like that. So I'm like riding a high from this weekend right now.
So you're riding a high from this weekend. I'm riding a high from the comment, and we're both in a pretty great mood is what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm hearing. So let's get going with what we watched this week. I actually, because I was gone in Miami this past weekend, I only got to kind of watch the start of something, and that is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. So far, I am really liking it. I don't want to delve too much into it because I haven't finished it yet, but the big thing that stands out for me, especially in the production design world, is this is such a beautiful movie. We know this with Guillermo del Toro movies. He does everything practically, everything from the creatures to the sets, and it is so fascinating to watch because you can really tell that this is all done practically. I can't wait to finish the movie and just learn more about how this feat was accomplished because it's incredible.
I watched a couple movies, one of them being Weapons. We talked about the fact that I was going to watch Weapons this weekend in advance of talking to Chris about it, and I could delve much deeper into it when we talked to Chris in the second half of this episode. But I really liked it. I thought it was a good movie. We talked about the concept, how the concept was, once in a lifetime kind of thing. 2:17 a.m., a whole classroom except for one kid, which they didn't show in the trailer, which is pretty sick. I was not expecting that. A whole classroom except for one kid runs away from home, all running like this.
What was that? Do that again?
Yeah. The whole camera doesn't get me, but it looks like I'm doing the Dua Lipa dance.
Oh, you're gonna get even more sexy comments now.
That's the goal, Ryan. That's the new goal. That's the new goal. So I watched Weapons, and I also watched Baby Driver. It came out in 2018, but I finally watched it now. Very good movie, very chaotic movie, extremely chaotic the entire time. And The Running Man is coming out this weekend. So Edgar Wright. So I thought that was a little preparation in advance for The Running Man coming out. We already talked about that a little bit. And I liked Baby Driver, good cast, good movie. I loved the usage of music. It was basically music playing throughout. And we've already talked a lot about music on this podcast. So those are two movies I saw this weekend, and both of them I liked.
Good week for movies for both of us. That's great. Let's jump into it. Let's start off with this. Stranger Things. We've been talking a lot about Stranger Things, and the first 5 minutes of Stranger Things Season 5 was released online on Stranger Things Day. I'll let you take it away. You seem eager.
It was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome. I'm jealous of. So they had it at the premiere. They showed everybody the entire first episode. So there are a bunch of people right now who have seen the whole first episode, and they also, I believe, showed the first 5 minutes of episode 2. So episode 1 is called The Crawl. We got the first 5 minutes leading up to the credits, the iconic credits, and yeah, it showed. Spoiler alert. Maybe our first, big spoiler alert on the pod. But in the first 5 minutes, it's revealed that there was a cliffhanger at the end of season 1, episode 7, where Will is obviously in the Upside Down, and then the Castle Byers, blows up or gets broken into by a Demogorgon, and then it cuts to black, ends the episode. The next time we see Will, he has the thing inside his mouth when Joyce and Hopper find him at the end of episode 8 in the season finale. So we just see what happened. And they use a CGI Will Byers. People were making a big deal. I think it's fine. It looks similar enough to Will. I honestly didn't mind that. It didn't take me out of it at all. And then it's revealed that the Demogorgon takes Will, brings him to Vecna, and then Vecna's the one who inserts the slug thing into his mouth. So again, like we talked about last time, we were doing our predictions, doing our fan theories. It's revealed that Vecna was behind it all. Vecna's the one who had that sort of interaction, had that interaction with Will, and it was pretty cool to see that. And it's going to lead into an incredible season, I think.
Yeah, you said it perfectly about tying it full circle. That's what really excites me. We've mentioned this before. So many shows overstay their welcome. They don't fully have a plan going in. Stranger Things does not feel that way, except for that little side plot where like 11 went off with her little friend buddies. We'll forget about that. Besides that, Stranger Things is seamless. It always seems like it knows the directions it's going, knows where it's ending, and this was just further proof of that. The CGI Will did not bother me at all. How else are you supposed to get a younger Will, I guess, without totally recasting? I believe they got someone that looks like him and then dubbed Noah Schnapp's face over it, which they actually did a similar thing for Millie Bobby Brown in the past season, as I've also done in the Star Wars franchise a few times. So it didn't bother me. And yeah, it's just increased my excitement even more. So I'm on board with you.
And it's crazy to think like we're seeing even more traumatic things that Will's going through. Like this kid's been through so much, and I've done my rewatch. It makes so many moments, so many quotes, just so much deeper from Will, knowing that he went through that and they had the interaction with Vecna, and it was Vecna the whole time, the reason why his neck was getting chilly. So it was cool. And then I don't know if you saw this, I don't know how you feel about this. A lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people online saying that what we saw at the end of those 5 minutes could be an allegory for SA. That's another, that's a deep conversation perhaps of, like, if you want to go even more into what Will went through. So there's a lot. There's a lot that comes with that first 5 minutes, and it's just, you gotta feel bad for that 12-year-old kid. Yeah,
I definitely feel bad. But hopefully he gets some sort of redemption. I don't know if redemption's the word, but how cool would it be if Will is the one to defeat Vecna? And it's not out of question.
Not out of question.
He's obviously going to play a huge role in however, if we assume Vecna gets defeated at the end, however Vecna gets defeated, Will is probably going to be the heart and soul of that. Even if it's not him physically doing it, it's going to tie into them two being connected. Because we keep going back to that.
There was an episode called Sorcerer
in this season.
Yeah, there's an episode called Sorcerer. So that's going to be a Will episode. There's
also an episode called The Vanishing of Blank.
Blank.
What do you think the blank is?
Everyone's saying Holly, but I don't know. I don't know if I think it's Holly. I don't even have a prediction there.
Maybe we'll come back next week with a good prediction on it.
Also, something with the first 5 minutes, when Will's running, his backpack is on that tree and he falls down, and there's a shot in the trailer for season 5 of Will, looks like he might be in the Upside Down looking up toward a tree. So that got me thinking, oh, is he gonna find the backpack? And if so, why? Like, I'm just wondering what could be important that's inside that backpack. I don't know.
That's good. That's so good. I like that.
But what could be important that's in the backpack? Like that's so cool. Don't get me wrong. But I just keep thinking to myself, like, what even could be in there that's useful now? I don't know.
Well, we only got a few more weeks to find out, and hopefully we're gonna watch it together. Me and Noah are currently having this big debate because, not debate, we're trying to decide what to do because the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, everyone from our high school goes out to local bars and stuff. And me and Noah would love to see people, but at the same time, we'd also love to watch the premiere of Stranger Things that releases at 8 p.m. on that Wednesday night. So, yeah, I think we're leaning more towards Stranger Things.
And for those wondering, we are not too old to go out night before Thanksgiving. Not at all. Where it's like, why would you even think that? Why would you even say that? So no, not definitely not too old.
Yeah. Moving on from Stranger Things. Obviously, Stranger Things released the first 5 minutes, but we got a lot of other big trailer releases this week. Let's start off with this one, the Michael trailer, the Michael Jackson music biopic. We talked about the Springsteen music biopic last week and a little bit about the state of the music biopic genre. Noah, what were your thoughts after watching the Michael Jackson biopic trailer?
I mean, it looks so cool. It looks so cool. Come on. If you're going to make a Michael Jackson movie, you have to make it the coolest thing of all time, and the trailer is pretty damn cool.
So cool. Have you watched it more than once?
I've watched it twice.
I've watched like 4 times, and it just got me pumped. It got me. This movie was like, I was like, oh, Michael Jackson, another biopic, like we keep talking about. But oh my god, I forget. Everyone loves Michael Jackson, but I forget how, how many bops and how much aura he had.
Ryan, it's not just how many bops. It's, how Taylor Swift is now. Her Eras tour, fans freaking out at just the sight of her. Taylor Swift. She Travis Kelce's girlfriend, fiance.
Travis Kelce's fiance.
Travis Kelce's fiance, yeah, Taylor Swift. Michael Jackson was her times 100, times 200. Like, he was, we weren't around for his prime or anything, but like, come on. I mean, you could just talk to your parents and they'll tell you all about how insane he was and how big time he was. Everyone wanted to be like him. Yeah, everyone knows. We don't need to talk too much about frickin' Michael Jackson. Like, yeah. And I will say, his nephew playing him, that's so cool.
Identical. I mean, what the heck? It's Michael Jackson. It's crazy.
Jafar Jackson is his name.
I just looked down at it too. Jafar Jackson. So, imagine he becomes like a movie star in more things after this. That would be cool. This is kind of the catalyst to an acting career. Hey, one thing that I did read online is there's a chance that they are going to split the Michael movie into 2. What are your thoughts on that? Because I'm not the biggest fan of it. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't have too many thoughts about that. I agree that would, when I saw that, I was questioning it, like, interesting. But I also don't know enough about Michael Jackson's history, because maybe you could tell the story in 2 parts. A lot of controversy when it comes to Michael Jackson. The end of his career and end of his life obviously wasn't fantastic or anything. Now, I think you should be able to tell any story, for the most part, in 1 movie. You shouldn't need 2 movies, but who knows, if the people in charge think that it's 2 completely separate stories, that it should be a part 1 and part 2, and they're good, I'm not gonna judge as long as it's done well.
I agree. I actually agree. I think that's what it comes down to in the end. It comes down to, is this a money grab? Are we trying to make 2 Michael movies to get extra money? Or is this necessary for the story that we are trying to tell? As long as it's about the story, I'm good. But my gut just tells me, I'm like, I wish it was just 1 spectacle movie, not a 2-parter that Anyway, regardless, I'm excited.
I'm also excited. There's another trailer I'm excited about, Ryan.
Yes, I am very excited about this trailer that dropped today, and it is Toy Story 5. Now, Noah, I'm going to be completely honest. I love Toy Story 1. love Toy Story 2, love Toy Story 3, one of my top movies of all time, my top 50. Toy Story 4, I really dislike. Really, really dislike. Okay? So when I heard that they were doing a Toy Story 5, I was extremely on the fence. This trailer, I liked it. If you even call it a trailer. Teaser, I guess, more so is what it is. But I'm on board now. I'll tell you my thoughts in a second, but are you also on board?
Well, first I want to know, so the fourth is the worst. The fourth is my least favorite. That's not a hot take by any means. I'm kind of surprised at the strongly dislike part, though. I want to know why you strongly dislike Toy Story 4.
I mean, I'd have to rewatch it because I haven't seen it since however many years ago, but I just remember feeling it was so beyond unnecessary. I remember feeling like it was just like a side quest, and that it felt to me like a TV special that would be put on like Disney Channel. I don't know.
Damn.
And yeah, I was not a fan of the villain. I remember that baby doll, especially when you came right from Lotso right before. It just felt really off to me. It felt like it was unnecessary, super unnecessary, and I remember not being super entertained by it as well. So
The two villains in media history that I hate, like despise, like they're written so well that I hate them, like in a good way, if that makes sense, are Lotso and Dolores Umbridge. Harry Potter.
Oh, I know who Dolores is.
Yeah, Dolores.
Oh, the worst.
Yeah, I know. So those are the two villains that I literally can't stand. Like Lotso is so well written, and I like actually want to punch him and burn that teddy bear at the end of the movie. Like that's how much I hate him.
You love to hate him.
Yeah.
Anyway, Toy Story 5. What were your thoughts?
Toy Story 5. So as you said, definitely more of a teaser than a trailer. It was only 50 seconds, but I mean, I liked it. First of all, the animation looks so good, and I expect that from Toy Story, but my lord, that was my first takeaway. The animation looks incredible. And then, the message of the teaser is the age of toys is over. Question mark at the end of that. And the whole point, just like we're seeing in a lot of movies these days, the internet, in this case being an iPad, is taking over. Computers taking over. We saw that in the last couple Mission Impossible movies. The entity was the big thing. Where it was, it was AI. AI was the villain in the final two Mission Impossible movies we're ever going to get. So, like, that's where we're headed. And Toy Story 5 is just another example of that, and I think it's cool. So it's going to show how, in Toy Story 1, Buzz was taking over Woody. And Woody was jealous. Now all the toys are going to be jealous, with Jessie being the main character, apparently. And all the toys are going to be jealous at the internet. So I think it's a cool story, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. For me, I like I said, I thought Toy Story 4 was unnecessary. But then, and I would have thought the same about 5 until I saw this trailer and I saw what they're doing, right? They're telling this story that is so timely to children of today about, maybe, I mean, I'm assuming what the message is going to be at the end. It could be something completely different, but it's about, maybe it's about, not just keeping your eyes on the phone all day and going outdoors and using your imagination and playing with toys and being physically holding something and playing with friends. And if that's the direction that's going, I'm on board, because it feels like a story that is necessary to tell and a franchise that can expose that story. And yeah, these 50 seconds, whatever it was, got me on board for Toy Story 5, as someone who was definitely not on board prior to knowing what it was about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a slightly different boat because I was on board and I didn't strongly dislike Toy Story 4, but I know a lot of people did. I might be in the minority there. It's definitely my least favorite. But I don't know. I thought it was fun. It was enjoyable. Hard to make another movie after Toy Story 3, after how incredible that was. Like, hard to follow up with something that's also amazing. But yeah, no, I was gonna be excited regardless. And I liked it. I liked the teaser.
Was Woody in that trailer?
Yes.
How is that? Yeah, he was. How is that possible? Well, didn't they separate at the end of Toy Story 4?
Yeah, he simped out big time. He chose the girl over his boys, and I guess he is back and realized that he should have chose the boys. I don't know. We'll see.
I hope they have a reason for him being back, because if they don't,
will.
then that makes Toy Story 4 even more pointless.
Maybe that's the point, Ryan. Maybe they're like, you know what? Let's pretend that it's kind of like in Star Wars with Rise of Skywalker. Let's pretend the last movie didn't even happen.
Somehow, Woody has returned.
That's good.
Yeah, thanks. Anyway, let us know your thoughts about Toy Story 5. We're pumped, so hopefully you are too. Next up, there is a new TV series on the way at DC Studios. And this might seem unexpected, kind of out of nowhere, but it is a Jimmy Olsen TV show. Of course, you know Jimmy Olsen from the new Superman movie. He is Clark Kent's best friend at the Daily Planet. And he's played by Skylar Gisondo. Do you know how to say his name? I've seen him in a billion things. Skylar
I don't,
Gisondo.
to be honest.
He's played by Skylar. Skylar's great. He's great as Jimmy Olsen. And what it's described as is a kind of a journalism investigation story with Gorilla Grodd as the forefront, as the villain. And it's going to be written by these two writers who wrote this series called American Vandal. I have not seen that show. I don't know if you have. The two writers' names are Dan Perlt and Tony Yacenda. They're just giving me the hardest last names today possible. Regardless, from what I've read, American Vandal is kind of a parody of the true crime genre, right? So if that gives you a little bit of an idea of what this series can be, maybe parodying, journalism and journalists in our real world today. What do you think about a Jimmy Olsen series?
I feel like this is something everyone's kind of on board with. Everyone collectively is like, you know what? Yeah, I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. He was a lot of fun in Superman. He was a lot of fun, and also it was important in the plot. His girl, who was Lex Luthor's girlfriend, ended up showing the pictures that led to Lex's demise. Like that was an important plot line in Superman. So it was like, I don't know. I think it's very, very funny how Jimmy Olsen, just like all the ladies want him, he doesn't give a care in the world. It's so funny. It's so good. James Gunn cooked with that for sure.
He's like you.
He's like me. I'm just minding my own business, and I have people calling me sexy in the comments. Like I'm just here, man. I'm just existing. So yeah, I relate to him in that capacity. But I'm looking forward to it. It'll be cool. Again, I think this is someone that everybody can get on board with. Unlike maybe a Toy Story 5 where I could see the argument where, we don't need it, we didn't need a 4, whatever. Jimmy Olsen, why not? Fun character. It's kind of similar to the Penguin show, because after the Batman, people liked that side character, and everyone got a Penguin show, and it was really good. In Superman, everybody likes this side character. Now, the Penguin and Jimmy Olsen are two opposite characters, but it's the same concept of a side character from a really good movie. Let's give him a cool storyline.
Yeah. Even though you said everyone's on board, I actually don't think that's totally the case, because I saw some comments that were like, why are we giving this random side character a show? Why? It's supposed to be about superheroes. This guy doesn't even have any powers, blah, 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 blah. James Gunn has said since the beginning that he is making movies that have good stories. We keep going back to this on this podcast. It's all about having a good story, So I bet that if he is greenlighting a Jimmy Olsen series, it's because they have a really, really good idea. So in the end, I don't care if it's a superhero heavy show or not, because you just brought up Penguin. Penguin doesn't feel like a superhero show, even though it's in the DC. I guess it's not the DCU, but DC extended universe, multiverse. So yeah, I have faith in James Gunn, and I have faith that he would only greenlight something that is deserving of a series. And because of that, I'm excited.
Yeah, that was well said. They might just be trolls on the internet. You never know. But I hope not too many people feel that way. I don't know. I think it's why not? Why not?
Now, Gorilla Grodd. Do you know much about Gorilla Grodd at all?
Can't say that I do.
Okay, he's kind of like this like giant ape that's usually like a Flash villain, and he's super, super, super intelligent. Um, Again, neither of us are the biggest comic book guys. I think a lot of the comic booky stuff we learn is mainly through film and television. But I did read that he like at one point in the comics has like an entire kingdom that he runs in Africa. Actually, I think that was a plot point on the Flash at one point. Regardless, maybe it's Jimmy going over there and investigating this community, Planet of the Apes. I don't know. I don't know. But cool that they're bringing a very popular comic book character along for the ride as well.
I think that's also a good point you made I think that's another big similarity between us, how we're both not comic book guys. I didn't grow up reading comic books. The comic books I care about are in the movies and shows. And then, like when it came to Wicked, of course, you didn't watch the show Wicked, but you watched the movie, and we're here to talk about movies and TV. That's the podcast. So I just think it's a very, very important to point that out, and the fact that like we're such movie and show guys, and that's like our main, that's our main source of media, I guess.
Yeah, totally, totally. And that's why we're going to be upfront if we aren't the most knowledgeable about a specific topic, because that's the thing about movies and TV, Noah. They cover every single range from music to comics to sports movies to it's one of the coolest things about film is you can learn something new every time, and we're never going to be the number one expert on any topic, but um, yeah, I think we're just going to try and be as transparent as possible. Um, Anyway, moving on from that, I am pumped for the Jimmy Olsen show. We'll see where it goes. All right, let's talk about our favorite topic, Avengers Doomsday. We're already talking about superheroes. Let's move it over to the Marvel side. And it was announced that, actually, this was announced by my favorite podcaster, YouTube podcaster, John Campia. He got insight on this, and that's kind of how this became a story. Shout out, John. But Avengers Doomsday, the first trailer, teaser, whatever it's going to be, is going to be released in theaters before Avatar Fire and Ash. Um, they kind of did a similar thing with Avatar Fire and Ash, where the first trailer for that was released only in theaters as well. I forget what movie they put it in front of, but yeah, they're doing the same thing for Doomsday. And on top of that, it was announced that there was over 30 different cuts of this trailer. So 30 different versions, because they are trying to perfect this trailer, make it the most perfect trailer because of how much is riding on this movie. Noah, what do you think about all the iterations of the trailer, and what do you think about it being released in theaters for the first time?
Well, we know Marvel loves their secrets, so I think having a lot of different versions is very on brand with Kevin Feige in the MCU. My only question to you about it, obviously it's very, very cool. It's next month. My question to you is that going to impact our Avatar ranking in the December in the December movie ranking? Because if I'm being totally honest, I care more about seeing the Doomsday trailer than I actually do seeing the movie. So is that going to impact where that is in the ranking for you?
Yeah, I think yes. I think yes. I don't know if that counts though. I don't know. I don't know if we should count that as.
I guess we shouldn't, but like,
It definitely would. If it does, it shoots up. That's the thing. You just said it perfectly, Noah. Because I am probably gonna rush to see Avatar: Fire and Ash faster than I would have if it didn't have the Doomsday trailer attached. I'm pumped for Avatar: Fire and Ash. I love the Avatar franchise, but the fact that Doomsday's attached, I feel like it's a necessity to be one of the first people to see that trailer. So it's interesting because this will probably result in maybe more people seeing Avatar with the trailer being attached, and then maybe vice versa because I'm sure Avatar is one of the highest grossing films of all time. I'm sure it has a lot of overlap with Marvel fans, but that's not always the case. So having a big trailer like this being revealed in front of Avatar could also help get more people to watch Doomsday.
apologies if you could hear my dog Leia barking upstairs.
Yeah, I know that's why I was a little distracted. But it's okay. Why don't you tell your dog's names really quickly? You just have
Oh
no idea.
yeah, my there you go. My dogs are Leia and Luke, and you'll never guess who chose their names.
I wonder who. I wonder
Yeah.
who.
So Leia we got in 2020, and then Luke we got in 2021. And the way my mom convinced me to get another dog was saying, "Let's get a male dog." And I said, and she was like, "We'll name him Luke." I was like, "Oh, okay, yes."
That's great. That's great. That's great. Yeah, they're great. And you know what my dog's name is? My dad's dog.
You have a lot. You have an Obi.
There's an Obi. That's the one I was talking about.
Okay. Okay.
An Obi. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have like 5 dogs, but yes, Obi is one of them. Back to Doomsday. What I was saying was it's kind of a symbiotic relationship. I think Doomsday trailer being in front of Avatar will help get more eyes on Doomsday, and will also help more people go and see Avatar, frankly, faster. What
Yeah.
do you
No. I'm. Yeah.
what do you expect to see in this trailer?
That's a good question. That's a loaded question. It'll be. I think it'll be similar to the first Infinity War trailer we got, where we should see something of Doom, and then we won't see anything in the end. Like there will likely be no shots from the third act of the movie. It'll probably be mainly first act stuff. That's what Marvel likes to do, which makes sense. So I don't think we'll see anything too crazy, but we'll see like maybe both Avengers groups together, the Sam Wilson led Avengers and the Yelena led Avengers or something.
I don't even know if we'll see that, honestly, because a big thing in this movie, especially from the chairs thing, is there seems like there's a bunch of different groups, right? You have your X-Men group, you have your New Avengers slash Thunderbolts group, you have your Avengers group. I think you have your Fantastic Four. I don't even know if we'll see them interact in the trailer. Maybe a little snippet at the end, like the little Guardians thing. But imagine you're just seeing, the individual groups doing something and little shots of Doom, and then maybe one little shot at the end that's like, okay, they come together somehow. Because so much of that, I don't even know if I wanted it to be ruined, the interactions between the groups. And I don't know if Marvel wants to ruin that.
I think I want an interaction though. We've already talked about the fact that these characters haven't interacted. There's too many characters that haven't interacted. So like I'm fine with. I think it's just one thing in the trailer would be fine. I think one interaction isn't crazy. Now if everybody interacted or whatever, then you can get into that. But I don't think we've had enough interactions where if we get one in the trailer, I would honestly like that.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
So shortly.
In theaters in December.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think it's the right way to release a trailer because it also gets more people into the theaters. So,
And then my opinion is in February we'll get a full trailer because Super Bowl. That's my opinion.
I think that makes sense. That Super Bowl is a big time for trailers. That makes sense. So,
Or Spider-Man. One or the other.
oh yeah, when are we gonna get the Spider-Man trailer?
Yeah, we haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah.
That's gonna be an awesome thing for the pod. We're totally gonna watch it at the same time, react to it, post on YouTube. Oh, it's gonna be cool.
That's gonna be sick. I'm excited. A lot of exciting things coming out. So, all right. Well, that concludes it for our main topic questions. We are about to transfer over to add Chris onto the chat and hear a little bit about his story becoming a graphic designer for film and television. All right. We are here with Chris Forster. Chris is a graphic designer on film and television. We most recently worked on the Madden movie this summer together. And when I knew when me and Noah decided that we wanted to bring guests on the podcast, people that work in the film industry, Chris, I genuinely mean this. You were my first pick. Noah can confirm this. I am so impressed by Chris in the short time that I'm really going to flatter you here. In the short time we spent together, I really feel like I learned so much, as well as am just in envy of the skills that he possesses. He's worked on everything from Stranger Things to Weapons that came out this summer, the Tomorrow War, and you did work on Tomorrow War, right? Because we never talked
I
about it.
did, yeah, I sure
Tomorrow
did.
War, and much more. So, Chris, thank you so much for doing this.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I guess let's start off with this, right? I know you brought some stuff you're going to share, and we'll show that in a second. But for anyone who isn't in this behind the scenes of filmmaking, what does a graphic designer for film and television do?
Well, the short answer is anything and everything. that you see within a shot. A graphic designer basically has to make everything from certificates, posters, giant signs, packaging, flooring, wallpaper. The craziest and stupidest thing I ever had to make was just a blue rectangle that the grips needed to put over a light switch or something. Like there are no bounds. You could make a giant map that gets a close-up shot in a movie and then also be making said blue rectangles. Like there's no limit. There's no limit to what you have to do. And basically you need to produce something that can be printed by a vendor or cut by someone in the mill and yeah, there's no shortage of things. It's a full-time job. For 10 hours a day, you are busy every single day.
And when you're producing all these different things, right? Do you find it cool that, like, we'll talk about all the different things you worked on, but it's almost like you're learning something new each time. You talk about a map, right? And how for maybe making a map, you have to learn the geography of whatever that location is, right? Versus if we I don't want to talk about Madden because it hasn't come out yet. It's where I'm going to keep referring to, but we can't talk about it. Versus Stranger Things, where you're playing in a make believe world. How does that differ from project to project?
Well, you certainly get some projects that are not interesting and for all intents and purposes are just a job, you know. I worked on a show called Grosse Pointe Garden Society, which, sorry if you watched it, but it was not my best work. And, well, I won't badger it, but it wasn't something I was invested in to say, like, to the degree that I was invested in Stranger Things, you know. When you're on a project like that, when you're on a project like Madden or Weapons, and you know something is gonna be good, it's almost like you go to war, you know, like you're gonna be gone. You check out, you're on a mission, and you're not coming back until it's done. So you really pour your soul into it, and a lot of research is involved. It's very research intensive if you want to make good looking stuff. Like I said, the other jobs I have where I'm not invested as much, I don't take the time to learn anything or do anything. I'm like, okay, they need a poster on the wall. They need this veterinarian sign. I'm like, boom, here you go. You know, I'm not going to sit there and be like, what would it have looked like? You know, and really give the minutia and the detail and the time that you need to do in order to make something look good. So it does vary from project to project as far as how much you're willing to, you know, go above and beyond.
Chris, when did you know you wanted to do this? Was there a certain movie or show that you saw when you were super young and you were like, you know what? I want to make that's on my screen?
The Shining. Yeah. Yeah. So I think I saw The Shining when I was, Jesus, I was a very small child. And the thing I credit my parents the most with, as far as raising us kids, was they pushed movies on us. They pushed, you know, entertainment. Like, hey, that's Harrison Ford. Hey, that's Whoopi Goldberg. Hey, this is Steven Spielberg. Hey, this is so and so. You know, look at that movie. Look at Quentin Jaws. See that blood? That's ketchup. That's how they made that. And I'm there as like a 4-year-old, and I'm going, oh, wow, I want to do that. But really, The Shining, when Jack is in the fridge, in the freezer, it was that Calumet Indian can of like tomatoes or something. And all the graphic design in that movie, that was it. I mean, that was it. So I was a young kid. I will say that first manifested as me like wanting to direct or produce or something And that's what I went to college for. And I minored in advertising design. Uh, but the goal was always to like be a producer, director, big guy, big shot. Um, I quickly realized that I'm an artist. Like I could be doing this. I could be making these things that I've always focused on when I'm watching my favorite movies. And yeah, it's kind of just a dream come true.
Yeah, I mean, I think relate heavily to everything you just said because I also remember my dad's calling me. I also remember, um, watching The Wizard of Oz. Me and Noah talked about this on a prior episode and being just like fascinated by the fact like someone designs those sets. It's crazy to have that awakening and then see it manifest into something that you actually do for a career. Um, you kind of just started to touch upon, how you got into this. um, there's so many people. I was in this boat just a few years back who are passionate about film and television, passionate maybe about graphic design, but just don't know how to get started. How did you get started? How did you get to the point where you are today? And what advice would you give someone who's an aspiring graphic designer for film?
Amazing. Okay, I'll try to do this in under 5 minutes.
Please,
Uh,
as long as you need, Chris.
yeah, so like I said, I always knew that I wanted to make movies, right? I was always obsessed with movies and Hollywood and all of it. The Oscars were my favorite night of the year. Um, so I think as I got older going through school, I think, when it came down to, hey, you really got to think about your future and what you want to do and, what you're going to be when you grow up. And that kind of escaped for a moment. It kind of was not an option. Well, really, it never was. Um, but then my art teacher at high school, who really is the only person I talked to from high school at this point, and a really good friend of mine, um, she told me about a place called the School of Visual Arts in New York City and how they have all these programs and you could actually become an artist and pursue that as a career. And from there, I started looking about, okay, what other schools can offer this and is this a viable career path? And talked it over with my parents and initially became architecture. And architecture was the way to go. And because I was an illustrator and I would draw, I mean, I have drawings of all the Lord of the Rings when they came out. I just drew the map like 50,000 times. I drew all the little lands. I made up lands. I drew the characters. I drew the hobbits. I drew like Aragorn and like battle scenes. And it was always pencil and graphite. And so I was always an illustrator as like my entire life. And suddenly it became, okay, well, architecture, that's illustration heavy. You can make a living off of that. All the other art careers were kind of like not even an option. You know what I mean? So architecture was it. And then I took a summer class at Virginia Tech. This must have been 2008. And it didn't go well. And I quickly like found out that architecture was more math oriented and more scientific and really no drawing at all. Um, and I said, that's not it. And then that art teacher I was talking about in high school brought me a book of SCAD and all the programs that the school, Savannah College of Art and Design offers. And then I saw film and television was a major. And then it was like a light bulb that was like, hey, this is something they teach you and you can actually go to school for, like someone goes to school for any other business, doctor, whatever. And that's when I had that conversation with my parents and my art teacher. And SCAD had a summer program called the Rising Star Program. And if you got into this program, you got accepted to the college. And it was for high school students only, rising seniors only. So me and my art teacher went through the process and we're like, you got to do this, Chris. Like you can take a film class, you can take an art class, and you can just be set. You don't even have to apply for school because you also get a scholarship and everything. and like 3,000 applicants, 50 people got chosen, and I got chosen. So went to SCAD, did film and television. Like I said, wanted to be a director, producer, and then graduated. And the school kind of said, "Good luck, bye. We'll see you." I was like, "Cool. Wow, where do I go?" um, I got an internship at a really cool documentary house in New York City called Fourth Row Films, and it wasn't paid. There was no stipend. There was no nothing. And it offered a really great opportunity as my first thing out of college. So I applied. I wrote this big cover letter saying, you guys seem right up my alley, blah, blah, blah. And they picked me. And I had to move to New Jersey because I couldn't afford Manhattan. Lived in Jersey City. Actually, a really nice place. And took the PATH train into work every day. Back then, the PATH train was not working.
We're
So,
we're New Yorkers, so we know.
okay, so you know all about this.
Yeah.
Right. This would have been 2013. So, like September of 2013. And yeah, they sent me out on the streets of New York City and the boroughs to just do like on the street interviews because I had a little camera, a little DSLR camera. And, the head guy, his name was Doug. He was like, I had this idea about this documentary about scalpers, so go over to the Barclays Center and just fucking shoot these guys, just listen to them. And it was very much so like, just go out there and do it. And I did it. And it would just be like me and like another intern. And I had the most fun there. And the best thing I did there was the National Lampoon documentary, Drunk, Stone, Brilliant, Dead. And I got to go like and sit and record on an audio thing 2 hours of one of these writers or illustrators who did these magazines, their whole life story, and then like transcribe it and then go through. Uh, we bought every single issue, every single National Lampoon magazine ever created. We found them and we had them all in the office with us. And my job was to go through these magazines and find the coolest fucking things and then give them to the editor. And like, that's what made it into the documentary. And that's really where like everything started. And I got super lucky that certain events took place, even though they were really dramatic, and I won't go into them, that brought me down here to Atlanta. And it was a disaster disguised as a blessing, because someone I went to school with who graduated before me called me up and said, "Hey, Chris, are you still living in Atlanta?" And at that point, I literally was about to go move in with my parents and say, my dreams are over. I'm nothing. I didn't make it. I got to go back to school. Damn. And this guy calls me and I said, "Yeah, I'm still here." He goes, "Well, I'm down here shooting Ang Lee's new movie. Why don't you come in for an interview?" This guy who I went to college with is Ang Lee's personal assistant at this point. And that movie was Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk in 2015. I was 24, on the verge of total collapse and realignment. But this guy, Jesse Cook is his name. I hope he doesn't mind that I shouted him out. But he saved me and he launched my career because I haven't had a day off really since then, except for here and there and the strikes and whatever. But I have been working nonstop since that point. And I spent the first 2.5 years doing production because, like I said, I wanted to be director, producer. So I was everything from an office PA to a travel coordinator to a set PA to a director's assistant, producer's assistant, and quickly found out that's not, it's not what I want to do because I have this art background. So I started over again After 2.5 years of climbing that ladder, I was like, I'm going to go back to being a PA because I want to be in the art department. So I called everyone that I've ever been on a movie with who was in art department, and I said, I'm making this change. If you got anything for me, I'll do it. Anything. I'll pick up rat shit. And they're like, okay. Someone called me right away after I sent an email to her and was like, I think I've got something for you. It's only 4 days, but let me call you right back. I'm like, okay. She calls me right back. She says, okay, I got you for 4 days. I'm like, great. What's the project? She's like, well, it's a period show and, we have a lot of packaging and a grocery store and we have to like stock the shelves with old Pop-Tart boxes and old cereal boxes. And basically we're printing them out and someone has to make these boxes. And I go, okay, cool. I can do that. What's the show? She said, well, it's kind of hush hush, but it's about kids in the 80s. I go, uh-huh. Oh, I see. And that was Stranger Things 2. So that was my first job in the art department as a set deck PA. And my job was to just cut out these boxes and hot glue them together. I don't have fingerprints anymore because of that. And I literally sat there in the middle of this bullpen cutting out these prints that the graphic designer was making and making them into a box and stacking these boxes on this little folding table. And at the end of the day, there was a mountain of boxes, and then they would take them and put them on the set. And 4 days turned to a week, which turned into a month, which turned into 2 months, which turned into the rest of the show. And then I came back for season 3, was supposed to be graphic designer. They kept me as the PA, but at that point I was like the highest paid PA probably in the city. Anyway, they still exploited me because I was still doing graphic design. And season 3 was what it was, that mall. Don't you believe it? I mean, you better believe it, excuse me. That was me. All the packaging you saw in any storefront anywhere, I fucking made it. So then season 4 came and they finally graduated me to graphic designer. First job as a graphic designer was before Stranger Things 4, in between season 3 and season 4, and that was Fear Street. There's 3 movies there. I didn't do the second one, but I did 1 and 3. That was my first job as a graphic designer. And I didn't join the union at that point. They were going to pay me as a graphic designer, but then accounting said, oh, we can't have you on paper as a graphic designer. You have to write production assistant, but we'll still pay you. And I'm like, why is that? They're like, because you're not in the union. I was like, okay, well, BRB. And I drove down to the union hall and I gave them $1,600 and I joined the union and I got to be on that show as a graphic designer. That was my first time. That was 2019. So since 2019, I have actively been credited and doing the work for, because let's be honest, you don't always get both, as a graphic designer.
Chris, that was a lot. That was awesome. I
There's a lot.
especially love the part of Stranger Things, as I'm sure Ryan did, and we're going to delve into your Stranger Things work in a bit.
Okay.
My question for you is, what's your favorite graphic you've ever made?
God. Probably something that never saw camera.
That's how it goes.
Man.
You know what? It's okay. If you can't think of anything, if you can't deliberate,
The best thing my favorite graphic I ever made, I can't tell you about because it's on the movie Madden and it's not out yet. But out of things that I have made that have come out, I would say the ransom note from Stranger Things 4.
Wow,
Can
that's
you
so
see for
cool.
a second?
Um, I mean, it's in. I'm planning to show it to you.
Cool.
Let's do
When,
it. Let's do it right now. Let's do it.
okay.
But Chris, I think I know the graphic you're talking about. If it's what I think it is, and yeah,
Oh
so
well, it's brilliant. I
there's
mean, and I'll explain everything that I did for it because yeah. Okay, so do we want to start the screen share?
Yeah, if you want to share your screen.
So I guess I'll just take you through Stranger Things 4 because the ransom note is in here and yeah. This is a quick little drawing I made for the show. It never got used anywhere. I just doodled it because it's like a cathartic thing. That's me being crucified on the pentagram there as a skeleton. There were banners that were double sided that never got made. I had to make 70,000 boxes, the uh-ohs, cereal, the gun boxes, the videotapes, the can of soup. Anyway, moving on. I made all the newspapers in the show. I know these are not very high res, but there it is. It's loading. Hawkins Post, all these things. Amazing thing about Stranger Things is you get to use like real photographs. You know what I mean? Like of Reagan and Jimmy Carter, and a lot of times you get to use like real um, brands, but other times you don't. So you have to draw your own things and like these little ads you see on the side. I had to come up with all those. I had to make all those. They're all fake. But then there you go. You see like House, a great movie. Hid that in there. Um, that's my grandfather where it says the Chronicle. I use a photo of my family. You know, I get to throw in like little things. More newspapers, packaging. You have to recreate all this period packaging. And this is where the research really comes in. You have to delve through eBay and archives and just do a Frankenstein monster, really, of what this thing would have looked like if it was fresh in 1986. So, again, here we go. More of it. Probably no one remembers Roy Rogers, but amazing period company. All of these things are period correct. And I did the research to make sure that in 1986, this is what we would have saw. Boom. This is all fake. So here you go. You got some Russian wine, made all that up. Schlitz is real, but the little deer, don't ask me what it says, I forget. And Ramones, those are all fake. So Schlitz is a real thing. That's a recreation, but the
now,
Russian
Chris,
stuff. Sorry?
I'm just gonna butt in for half a second to explain
Yeah.
something to Noah for anyone who doesn't work in film. Is that oftentimes things can't get cleared to be shown on TV, so you can't use a wine label that is not legally allowed to use because in this case Netflix gets sued. Um, I just think that's an important clarification because that is the main reason why Chris would have to redesign almost all these things.
Amen. And thank you for bringing that up because, yeah, I just don't even think to. I assume everyone knows what I
It's
go
such a
through.
huge part of your job is seeing what can
You're
get
absolutely right.
weird.
You're
Why don't
absolutely
you
right.
start recording, Noah?
Yeah. So stuff. Like I said, if you remember the video store, every single VHS box that's on the shelf, I made like by hand and printed out and photoshopped and made like the real package of. So it was pretty incredible. At one point, we hired some extra people to come in to help cut things out and hot glue together. But you'd be surprised how many people just can't do that. And it it certainly felt like the world was on my shoulder here because like even if I asked for help, they couldn't help me because they were not able to cut or glue, and the box looked like it was messed up. So it was tough, man. And it was, that's why my nickname, Ryan, from Madden is Man in the Box. It started with this. because I was the only person that could make a box.
Hey, I wasn't going to say this before, but who was the one this time helping? I don't know if it's a spoiler that there's boxes in Madden, but who was the one that was helping you this time fold the box?
That would have been you, Ryan.
I was the one this time in the bullpen folding the box.
That's right.
You,
So you're following in my footsteps. Look at you go.
Are we allowed to say there's boxes in Madden?
The boxes in Madden are going to look really good
Yeah.
because Ryan cut them out.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, obviously you said you had to get everything approved. Or in terms of you have to look everything up to make sure it was in 1986. Is there a supervisor who's above you who's double checking, or is it kind of your call where it's like, all right, there's so much trust in you to look everything up and make sure every single little detail is from 86?
It was left to me.
Wow.
It was left to me. Yeah.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. Absolutely no pressure at all. Occasionally somebody would catch something and be like, well, I saw this reference and it doesn't quite look right. And then, oh yeah, you're right. But I was the one making these files. I was the one hitting print or telling someone to hit print. And yeah,
That's
great
so cool.
length went through to achieve accuracy.
What are the big takeaways from working on a show like Stranger Things? Obviously, you're working on other things. You worked on Weapons this summer. You worked on Madden, which is going to come out shortly. But from Stranger Things specifically, that Ryan and I are obviously obsessed with, what are the big takeaways from working on that show for a few years?
It sort of sets the bar for how hard you have to go, if that makes any sense. Like right now, I don't know if I would ever push the pedal all the way to the metal like I did on that show. So really everything after has been kind of easy. I mean, I don't want to say easy, but there will never be anything like the monster that was Stranger Things. I mean, it consumed you. You were method. I was method graphic designing. I mean, I lived and breathed it. And it was unique because during season 4, the pandemic happened. And we all started working from home. And Netflix was great and paid us for like those 6 months that everybody was not working. But we came back in like August or September of that year. And I worked from home for the remainder of that season. And it was like almost 2 years total. And in 2022, that was the end. And at one point I was working on 2 other shows at the same time that I was working on Stranger Things 4. All from right here in my condo. And it was a lot, and I think I learned that I don't ever really have to give 100% of my existence to a show again. I just don't.
So some might say it turned your life upside down.
Yes, 100%. I felt like I was in the upside down, especially because at some point everyone went back to the office with like the COVID guidelines and all that, but they kept me and the other graphic designer who was in Los Angeles, obviously at home. So like everyone was back together, but I had to stay home. And I felt like I was just, out there because people forgot about you. No one was used to working from home like this at this point. This was all new for everybody. So there were times where, I felt like I was Jack Nicholson and like going through cabin fever. And like I'm sitting there at 2 a.m. drawing these, drawings that Max, I think I got them in here somewhere. You remember the crayon drawings that Max made? We can go back to this stuff, but let me find these. Oh, I saw that. Hold on. These. I'm sitting there at 2 a.m. making these with crayons. And you say to yourself, okay, it's time to go to bed. Like, this is crazy. Like, you're going nuts here. Like, this is a job. You're not lost in the upside down. You're not, this is not actually you. So it was, the lines got blurred in that time, and it was scary. And basically, I learned, to set boundaries in my professional life and never put myself through that again, because there were days where I wasn't eating because I was just doing this like 24 hours a day, like going crazy. So, yeah, it was very valuable life lesson, and I'm very thankful I went through it, but I would never want to go through that again.
Do you have the ransom note in here?
Oh yeah, let's go back to that. I'm gonna go fast because I'll show you this. Oh, ooh, ooh, ooh. There it is. On the right.
Nice.
Let's see if I can move it in. Yeah.
So good.
Okay. All of this, all these letters, I found in physical Soviet literature from the time or before the time. And I cut them out myself. So they're all the actual size. This is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, but all of these little numbers were cutouts. And I put them on this thing. And obviously, Hop is alive. He looks forward to date. Please to make reservation call, blah, blah, blah. Open 12-day pet. No gov, please. That was in the script. So in the script, it says this. And it was up to me to interpret that and to think about how this would be. And I go back to that method graphic design. You have no choice in a situation like this but to put yourself in the shoes of Yuri, in this case, the character Yuri, and think, how would Yuri do this? So, yeah, I did it, and it was a one-hit wonder, and it made it all the way to the screen, and that's my favorite thing I've ever done.
You're acting in a way, which is sick. You're Yuri. You're trying to be Yuri, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, in a way, you have to. Again, there are some graphic designers out there who never read a script, and I can't fathom that. Even on the jobs where it's just a job, like I can't do my job if I don't know who the characters are, if I don't know what's going on, if I don't have context. What's the point? Just use Canva or Midjourney, like nobody cares. So you have to really, this is the kind of thing where I would only make it if I cared as much as I did.
And Chris,
And
I truly believe that it comes through, because people were taking that and diving into every little detail of the letters and things, and
Mhm.
that's what's so cool about this when you find a franchise like this that you're able to work on and a project you're so passionate about, because I really think I'm confident it shows through and has improved the quality of the show significantly. So
Thank you. And, shameless plug, but season 4 will go down in history as the best season of the show. And I'm not going to say it was because of me, but
It wasn't not because of you.
that's right. Right. I'm the factor there. I'm the one that, in all of the seasons, season 4, I was the graphic designer. So that's all I'm saying.
Did you get credit from the Duffer Brothers? Like, did the Duffer Brothers give you recognition for whether it's the ransom note, whether it's anything you did?
I heard through the grapevine, but they didn't come up to me personally and be like, "Yo, Chris."
Still cool.
But I heard through the grapevine many times that they were very pleased with all of the stuff.
It's pretty cool.
that's awesome, Chris. Hey, Chris, I really don't want to keep you too long. Is there anything else super valuable you think you want to show?
Yeah, I can show you some of the stuff I did for weapons.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I love weapons, Chris.
Great. Okay, well, leaping off of Stranger Things. So at the end, the hair department wanted me to make a shirt. And all they told me is it had to say Tammy's Teas and Please. Beauty parlor. So I was like, okay, I got you. Don't worry. I started drawing Tammy. This is an original sketch of Tammy. She's got a little hair dryer, comb. Oops, I went backwards. Or maybe not. It's going all over the place. Anyway, well, this is Weapons. This is the banner I made.
Wait, it's still showing Tammy for me.
It is.
I see Mayberg. I saw Mayberg.
Oh, okay.
Now I see Tammy.
Tammy's back.
Wait,
Now I see Mayberg.
Sorry, guys. I thought I had this in order, but it's probably going to jump around.
You're good.
So this is the banner. I think you all recognize this thing. This was referenced from the banner used at Sandy Hook. And the production designer, Tom Hannock, who's the best in the business, look him up. He gave me a folder essentially saying, hey, Chris, look at all of these reference photos. They're from all the big shootings. And this is how I want this school to be. So I had to look at reference photos from Sandy Hook, Parkland, Uvalde, you name it. It was not easy. And at that time, he told me this movie is a metaphor for a school shooting. So we wanted to incorporate subtle, very visceral reference to those kinds of situations. And that's where this banner came from. Again, when you read it in the script, it says a banner displayed says Maybrook Strong. What it looked like is totally up for interpretation. And you see everyone's little name. I had to draw everyone's little name on there. Everything is hand done. And yeah, the rest is history. That little heart kite in between Maybrook and Strong, that's the one thing that I like directly copied kind of from the Sandy Hook. And if you notice, there's 12 little hearts, or 17, I forget the number. But 12 little hearts there for each of the kids that went missing. So I always try to incorporate that as far as like, you know, these points from the story that need to be shown. And it's the subtlety when you see 12 or when you count how many things of that. That's something I did as a kid. You know, I would always look at the background and the production design and the graphic design and be like, okay, there's 7 of those things. What does that mean? You know, this is my favorite. This is in the hallway at the school. And because my boss told me that this movie is about essentially a metaphor for school shooting, I was like, well, Jeremy by Pearl Jam is a song about a school shooting. And that's like one of my favorite songs. So I drew the song Jeremy. I think the lyric is, you know, at home drawing pictures of mountaintops with him on top, lemon yellow sun, arms raised in the dead lay in pools of blood or whatever. So there it is. Those are all the little kids that got killed. And there's Jeremy up on top with the J. So that's a subtle reference. You can see it in the movie, but only if you're really looking for it. It's on the side of the wall when Justine's going through like the little dream sequence. You saw this. This was in the police station. Again, so good. I'm sorry to brag, but what happens? What's the movie about? All right, kids are gone. They're on a night out. There is a thing in this country that police departments do called National Night Out. So how great would it be to feature a poster that says National Night Out in the background when we're talking about all these kids that are missing? It's just, that's the kind of stuff that adds to it, right? This is my second favorite graphic I've ever made. Did not make it in the movie, but I drew this by hand. And this was supposed to be in Justine's room. We never went into Justine's room. There's a long shot of her walking into her room, and they never got the reverse or a shot inside of that bedroom. So sad day. But there's my signature. And I made it old, so I put 1980 as the year. But I try to hide this little skull in almost everything I do. It started with Stranger Things, and I'll give it away. If you see it in Madden, I put it in Madden, so you might see it in Madden. But original drawing, amazing work. I want to make a t-shirt about this, but maybe that's later. Here's another thing you saw at the school. This is a direct rip from Sandy Hook. That same congrats. I basically just copied it, like to a T. All I had was a shitty little pixelated photo of an evidence photo, and it was on the wall. And I was like, oop, that's going in the movie. Oh, now we're back to Tammy. So here's the shirt I made. Here's the shirt I made for the hair department. This is on the back. I drew that little hair dryer. Stranger Things 4, hair department, blah, blah, blah. And there's the final product. There it is. And I have that sweatshirt. Ryan, I think you may have seen me wear it at some point.
I've definitely seen you wear that one.
Yes.
I've seen that one.
Oh, and there's the other one. So that would have been the other version. They didn't want that one. They wanted this one. But both are pretty cool. Both get the message. Oh, see, there's a sketch of her. I went off the page. I had to tape paper together because I drew too big. But there she is, man. She's fine, isn't she?
She sure is.
And there it is. So that's me.
Pretty awesome. That's so cool that you've had all those experiences. I mean, Ryan obviously knows more about the industry than me. Him being set designer, being in the industry and everything like that. To hear, like, as someone who's a huge Stranger Things fan, to see that you are quite literally behind some of the shots I've seen, some of the background images I've seen when I've rewatched this show for a fourth time. I'm currently on my fourth rewatch. It's so cool, man. And it was a pleasure meeting you. And I know Ryan has talked about you for so long. He was so excited to get you on. As he said, you're number 1 overall pick for our first guest of the pod. Such a pleasure, man.
Thank you so much. I had such a great time. Thank you.
And not to toot your horn anymore, but well, first of all, I was excited for that interaction between you two because I knew Noah would think everything was so cool, and I also knew Chris is the type of person who would enjoy that Noah thought. We were like, it's nothing, but I knew Chris because he's like us, Noah. He's a fan. Like me and Chris would talk for hours about content and stories and experiences and dreams and aspirations, and every time I leave a conversation with you, Chris, including this one, I just feel more motivated and passionate about what I do, and I just want to thank you. And we have to see each other in person very soon. We will add that to the calendar.
Let's do it. Thank you. Likewise.
Thanks,
You're the
Chris.
best. And it's not every day you see someone who's so invested, so thank you.
Of course, of course.
Well, thanks to everyone for watching. We enjoyed having Chris on the pod. That was really special getting to ask him questions. Make sure to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Also, make sure to subscribe and follow our Instagram and TikTok. Until next time, we talk about movies and television in real time.